I like to propose a toast. I said toast, mother. La, la.
Yeah, it's Slum National, underground, underground, when I stop the ground. Like a million elephants, a silverback orangutans, you can't stop a train. Who wants some, don't come unprepared, I'll be there. But when I leave there, better be a household name. Weatherman telling us it ain't gonna rain. So now we sitting in a drop top soaking wet.
In a silk suit, trying not to sweat. What is good? It's your boy KC. Welcome to KC's Corner. And you guys already know when you come to KC's Corner what you're supposed to do.
Put some respect on my name. Y'all understand me? When y'all say my name, put some respect on it.
Put some respect on it, man. And also, if you're coming into KC's Corner, you're going to have to put some respect on my guest name today because I got one of the great Twitter follows in the game right now for the Bay Area sports. My guy, Candlestick Will's in the building. What's up, big dog?
What's up, man? How you doing, KC?
I'm good, man. I can't call it, man. It's been a whirlwind. It's been a whirlwind. First of all, let me take the time to give my rest in peace to the two young men that were killed earlier this week, and then also the 5 officers that were killed last night in Dallas. The killing is senseless. We need to work on peace and not so much violence and retaliation. So I want to get that out the way and send my condolences to those guys and their families. But never the smooth transition, but we'll make the transition over. It's been wild in the world of sports and in the NBA, and it didn't get any wilder than in your backyard, where one of the biggest moves in NBA history happened earlier this week. Kevin Durant going to the Warriors. You are a Warriors fan. I'm going to let you speak on this, man. Go ahead, man.
Well, I'll take a moment to do the same for you, man, and say that everything that's going on right now with the 2 young men that died and the police officers that are being killed. We're a human race and we're on one planet, and we have so many more similarities than our differences. And the things that make us unique are actually should be considered a beautiful thing, yes, and not a threat. And this world is a scary place right now. We need more love, So I just want to throw that out there too.
Real talk.
As far as the way less important sports, this is Shaq leaving Orlando for the Lakers, and it's just amazing from a Warriors perspective that the Warriors somehow became the Lakers. And I can thank my man Jerry West for that. The logo. He's the greatest that ever did it. He certainly. You and I had a conversation a while back about where LeBron falls on the Mount Rushmore. I think you're going to end up being right as far as where he falls eventually. But I think people forget how good the logo was as a player. But him as a GM, that dude, he built the Showtime Lakers. He built the Kobe Shaq Lakers. He basically helped make the Memphis Grizzlies relevant by pulling off the Gasol brother trade. Yeah. And then comes the Warriors and says, you know what? I'd draft Clay. I'd draft Harrison. I wouldn't get rid of him for Kevin Love. And let's go after KD. So, this guy, everything he suggests turns into gold. And he certainly has influence on making those deals happen. And, I'm still stunned. People can say, the Warriors this, Warriors that, but this is, Iguodala was the best free agent signing you ever had. Right. And it wasn't even close. Right. A guy I follow on Twitter said that, this is almost as big as the Derek Fisher free agent signing. And the thing that's funny about that comment is that probably could be top 5. Free agents just don't sign yet. Right. They just never have. Right. Ever since free agency started, the Warriors have always been one of those other teams. And, they've never been the Lakers or the Celtics. And as we know in our history with this sport, it's Lakers, Celtics, and everybody else. Yeah. And every once in a while, somebody else might get a best player, but the Lakers and Celtics are pretty much everybody. Even the Bulls, as great as they were in Jordan's time, they never won before that, and they never won since. So, when people get the best player in the world, they can have a run. But usually in this sport, the Lakers and Celtics are 2 Yankees. Right. And they take over usually. So
and it's so crazy to see and to hear you say that because, being from that, you live in that area. I'm from Sacramento, went to school in the Bay Area, lived in there for a number of years. I mean, to me personally, I've been all around the country. I haven't been to Florida. I don't even know. I definitely want to go to Florida, but I haven't been to Florida. But other than Florida, I've been all around the country. There isn't a better place in our country, in the U.S. of A., than the Bay Area. And it's amazing to hear that, it's just been this dormant place for pretty much all the sports. You got Barry Bonds, you got Deion Sanders, and that's really about it. The Bay Area hasn't had an abundance of free agents the way you would think when you talk about lifestyle and the allure of these great teams. There's some legendary franchises in all of the Bay Area. And, to hear you say something as far as the basketball team being the Derek Fisher, Andre Iguodala being the top signing, it's amazing to hear, man. It really is. And KD is changing the game a little bit.
Well, I know people are frustrated, and if I was an Oklahoma City fan, I'd feel the same way that they do. As far as you assumed that at the end of the day he was going to stay loyal, but loyalty is a word that gets thrown around a lot in sports. But we got a lot of billionaires that don't really care much about loyalty in the first place. I mean, the irony is that Oklahoma City only has the team because the owner wasn't loyal to Seattle and took them out of there. So,
right.
Loyalty is a very loose word in sports, and as fans, because we've decided to be loyal to Klopp, we expect our players to be loyal to the Klopp. And it's like, you know what? The front of his jersey is going to say something different, but he's just trying to do what's best for him. He's trying to find the team that he thinks can help him win championships. LeBron did the same thing going to Miami.
No.
Barkley who never shuts up. I mean, we'll get into it. I'm saying that LeBron did go to Miami because he thought it was a better chance to win.
Yes, he did. Yes, you're right. You are
said,
correct.
Look, I'll teach you how to win. And he looked at it like, I can get a master's degree and win a championship if I come to Miami.
Right.
So I'm okay with you thinking it's different because it is. It's not the exact same scenario. And I know that him going to the team that beat him directly looks bad.
Right.
Stephen A. Smith obviously cares more about it than we do. But when you look at the scenario, it's for the same reason. He went to Miami. Barkley went to Houston. Chamberlain jumped from the Warriors to the Sixers, from the Sixers to the Lakers. Moses Malone jumped to the Sixers. I mean, there's plenty of stories over the last 50 years of guys leaving for a better team. And in the NBA, one guy changes, it can make a huge difference because there's only 5 on the floor. So
now,
any team LeBron's on is suddenly a favorite. Right? Cleveland was the favorite when he was there. Goes to Miami, suddenly Cleveland's terrible, and he leaves Miami, suddenly Miami's barely making the playoffs. So, that's all the example you need to know when an elite player leaves a team, how it changes. Now,
I'm going to say this. Now, first of all, let me get some things clear. People come on here and talk about, hating this and hating that. First, there's not a lot that bothers me in sports, on Twitter, nothing like that. There's not a lot that bothers me. How do I put it? When you don't use the word hating in the right context, it bothers the hell out of me. Okay? Just because somebody has a different opinion or doesn't agree with somebody's stance doesn't mean they're hating. Okay? And so many times you hear a situation, oh, you just hating on the Warriors. No, I'm not. Nobody's hating on the Warriors. I don't have a problem with the Warriors. For those of you who don't know, the Warriors cut the checks to good old KC, okay? So I definitely don't hate the Warriors. They cut the checks, all right? But at the same time, I just call it how I see it. And this whole Durant thing, people are saying, oh, you hating on Durant. You hating on the Warriors. No, I'm not, all right? Kevin Durant, a phenomenal ball player. I love watching this guy play. One of the great players I've ever seen in my life. Seems like one of the great guys in the NBA, just a truly nice guy. You know what I mean? There's nothing personal with this. There's no venom, in my opinion, with him making this move. You know, the only thing I have a problem with is him going to the Warriors and them just losing to the Warriors. And it's not the biggest deal in the world, but like I keep telling people, that if you hear people that talk with any sense, it's just disappointing. I want to see the greats be great. I want to see the greats carve their own path, you know, because that's just from the era that I'm in. You know, Isaiah didn't go try and team up with Larry. Michael didn't try and go team up with Isaiah. You know what I mean? They had to get through those guys, and it meant something to get through those guys and win. And KD taking a different route is just disappointing, and that's all it is. Like I said, it's not. I don't hate the guy. I don't wish bad on him for next season and beyond. It's just disappointing. That's all it is. And I'm just from a different era. You know what I mean? So people want to label it as hating and all this. Like we need to have a public service announcement on how to use that word. Okay, I get tired of hearing that word out of context. So,
well, and I'll take it a step further and say the way we started the show is that's hate,
right?
And that's ugly. That's the worst version of anything.
Yeah.
So to me, if we stop hating because let's get that word out the vocabulary, I'm fine with that.
Right.
You know, we're just talking mess. We're just talking smack. I mean, let's use other language to say what we're talking about. Because at the end of the day, it's not that important.
Right.
You know, it's just something that you love. It's something I love. It's something that we put a lot of passion and heart into.
Real talk.
But at the end of the day, hating is always going to lead to something ugly.
Real talk.
And I think one of the reasons that people take offense to that word is because it's so close to one of the worst words in the world, which is hate.
Right.
So, I think that's part of it.
Right.
But at the same time, I can respect what you're saying too. I mean, we're from the same era. We grew up with Jordan, Magic, and Larry. You know, and we saw Isaiah win a couple titles. And when you look at those teams, those four players in particular, they never left where they were from. But it's a little convenient also in our history to remember it just like that because those teams were trying to win every year when those guys were there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, if Jordan doesn't get $30 million a year when he comes back, when there was no cap, and they could give him whatever he wanted, and he got that 2 years, $63 million deal or whatever it was, maybe he leaves the Bulls.
Right.
The same way Dwayne Wade just left, right? Because they disrespected him about what he's worth. So it's really easy to say Jordan stayed or Magic stayed or Bird stayed, but those teams were great. They had Hall of Famers all around them. But who didn't stay was Scotty. Who didn't stay was Barkley, and there was a lot of guys who didn't stay in that same era.
Now I think hold on. I think
even
Karl
Malone after enough years finally said, "Let me try with the Lakers."
I think in this situation though.
Let me try with
Hold
the
on.
Lakers,
I think in this. I think in this situation, this is the other area. He didn't leave no bum team. This is the things that I say. That makes KD's situation so unique. And like I keep saying, we've never seen this before. He left a team with a shot to win a championship for what some people looked at, and obviously is as an easier route against the competition. And I'm not here to condemn the man. Like I said, it's just a move we haven't seen. I'm disappointed by it. And I don't know. You tell me this. Now, you watched KD, all year as Oklahoma City being, the main, one of the main oppositions for the Warriors. I saw a couple times, I don't know if you heard the last podcast, but I saw a couple times in the regular season, in that epic regular season game, when he had an opportunity to just hold on to the ball, get fouled, go to the line, and close it out. I felt he didn't want the free throws. He flung the ball just ridiculously into no man's land and got it stolen there. I don't know if you noticed in game 1 when they had a chance to win, he ran away from the ball when it was time to shoot free throws. And in game 6, he was pathetic. And I have a concern about KD, and when the pressure is really on, him embracing that pressure and trying to overcome it on the basketball court. And this signing with the Warriors, to me, could be the culmination of all that. I don't think he wanted the pressure of one more year, one more do-or-die year in Oklahoma City to make it work. I don't think he wants the pressure at all. And I've seen it on the basketball court and now with this signing. And until I see otherwise, that's kind of the box I'm going to have to put KD in. Now, it doesn't look like he's going to have to worry about that here in Golden State too much. But you tell me, you saw him over the last year in some of these moves. Did you see the same things that I saw?
I think one of the things that's interesting, too, is that, we'll go back again just one more time to what we were talking about the previous era with Jordan, Magic, Bird. We didn't have access to 82 games. We only really had access to like a game a week, and then we get the playoffs.
You're right.
So we didn't see the day in, day out of every guy, right?
Right.
So we know a little bit more about Durant and LeBron than other guys. We've seen every single last 2 minutes of every game that those kind of guys have played.
Right.
So it's very possible that Jordan would shrivel up at times. But we don't remember that because that didn't make the highlight reel.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and I'm not even trying to knock Jordan at all. I'm not just picking the guy because he's the guy everyone knows.
Right.
But my point only being is that, you're a teammate of 4 other guys. You have the guy in Westbrook who's also legit. And I think LeBron, who's taken more heat for his last 2 minutes than any guy I've ever seen in my life. Everyone wants him to shoot it. He wants to be Magic and pass it to the guy who's wide open. And when the guy misses it, it's like, oh, LeBron choked.
Now hold on. Now, to be fair, I think LeBron suffers from the same situation. There's times when he overcomes it. I mean, he obviously overcomes it in the finals. But I thought the way he played in Game 4 almost could have potentially and probably should have destroyed the finals for him. I thought he was unbelievably passive in Game 4, and it almost cost him. It almost cost him. And I've seen it numerous times in his career where it's people. What these guys don't realize is we, as spectators and even as teammates, being on the court and playing with other great players and being basketball players, I'm going to take maybe your fall-away 15-footer compared to you passing the ball to Roberson, who's wide open. I don't want that shot. I trust you taking your fall-away 15-footer more than I take Roberson shooting a corner 3. And they fall into that and fall into maybe the I don't want to call it excuse because it's not that, but the safe haven of saying making a basketball play or something like that. But I've seen LeBron run away from the ball when it's time to shoot free throws at the end. And I mean, it is pressure. I'm not going to act like it's no pressure. Anybody that says situations like that isn't pressure just is lying to you straight up. It is pressure, but sometimes you got to embrace that. And I've seen KD run away from that, just like I've seen LeBron run away from that.
Well, I think you can make the case. I mean, look at the example you gave of LeBron. I want to wrap it back to KD too. But what you just mentioned with LeBron about, almost looking like he was trying to, sabotage in Game 4. It's like, I really think that if he was being real honest, which he'll never admit, he was going to be like, you know what? I'm coming in tonight, and I'm just going to make the right basketball play every time. And if that means I shoot 3 times, then I shoot 3 times. But I'm going to do the smart play every single time. So when people watch this film, they're going to be like, yeah, that was the right play. Even if it's kicking it out to Dellavedova or whoever, right?
Right.
And so they'll never admit that because it almost sounds like he's trying to lose just to prove a point, right?
Right.
It's like the Gilbert Arenas rationale.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't want me to shoot? Well, then I won't shoot at all.
Right.
That kind of stuff. And, that sounds childish, but I think it's one of those things where it's like, look, I'm smarter than you are at this game. So I'm going to prove to you how smart I am by not making any mistakes.
Yeah.
But to not make any mistakes means sometimes I'm not going to take an open 3 because that guy over there is more open or that guy down low is going to lay him. And so I'm going to give it to them even though they're going to get fouled and miss their free throws.
Right.
So I'll pass it to Tristan because that's the right play.
Right.
So Durant might have been doing some of that with kicking it to a teammate or not taking a contested 3 or whatever mistake he made on the court in the playoffs. And it's possible you're absolutely right. And he does shrivel up a little bit more than we realize because when you're up 30 or you're up 20 most of your career, you don't have those 2-minute moments.
Right.
But then when you're in the playoffs and it's crunch time and a team who's playing great defense is against you, there's a lot more pressure.
Right.
Yeah. And Cleveland, for any defensive deficiencies they had this season, were playing good defense when it mattered in games 5, 6, and 7.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think happened with Curry, you want to put someone else on blast, Curry was trying to make the smart basketball plays in those last 3 games because he knew he wasn't 100%, knew that contested threes probably weren't going to go in because he didn't have the legs like he's had all year. So he's trying to do the smart thing, and in reality, it's not the smart play because the one advantage to a 3-1 deficit is you don't have to care anymore about rules on defense. You can be over-aggressive.
Right.
J.R. Smith can jump a pass.
Right.
You know, LeBron can crowd you more than he would because he doesn't care if you get by him because he's going to try to force you into mistakes.
Right.
And what happened? He started making lazy passes, started turning the ball over, suddenly his momentum the other way.
Right.
Right? So, but when you're talking about guys who have no fear, I mean, that list is like J.R. Smith, Jamal Crawford. Like, that's it.
I would now throw Kyrie Irving on that. I would throw Kyrie Irving on that. Kyrie Irving would be on that list now. Kyrie was fearless in the finals.
Well, Kyrie Irving was fearless for 3 days. You know, those 3 games.
He was fearless in.
I
I think he was fearless in Game 4. He just missed shots. I mean, he picked up the slack for LeBron.
You might be right. I'm not knocking Kyrie at all. But I'm saying in those the 3 most important games of his career, he absolutely stepped up. So, you know, I'm not trying to shortchange the other games, but in games 5, 6, and 7, it was never just LeBron.
Right.
And that was the assumption. You know, my assumption was, this is what I've been saying since this year, is that I've never seen Kyrie finish the season.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not him as a man. That's just him as a body.
That's just a
He's
fact.
always gotten injured.
Yeah.
And so my thing when people said, well, just wait till Kyrie's healthy, I'm like, I've been waiting for that since high school.
Yeah,
He
you're right.
wasn't healthy at Duke. He was never been healthy in the pros. So, you know, and what happened? He stayed healthy throughout the playoffs and showed us what everyone thought when he was the number 1 overall pick.
Right.
That he could be this guy. That he could be as good with his ball skills as Curry and can make just as many shots when he's right.
Right.
And that's a scary dude. I mean, that's a all-NBA point guard. That's, you know, as far as how he plays. So that changed everything because, you know, you heard me talk about Kevin Love. I thought Kevin Love went from an Olympian who deserved to be there
Right.
to just some dude who hits corner threes every once in a while.
Yeah.
And he did a little bit more in the finals than I thought he would. But it was definitely
Yeah.
the
Yeah, you were pretty much dead on with that. Except he played very tough and very well in Game 7. But between 1 and 7, Kevin Love was useless. He was completely useless. You were right
Well,
about.
if I'm the
you were
Cavs, I
100%
still
right
try
about
to
that.
move. I still try to move his salary with all the money that they owe everyone.
You know what
Just
though?
let Tristan Thompson be the guy.
You know what though? The thing about that is, he was useless in the finals, but Kevin Love had a really good playoffs. I don't think they should move him. He had a really good playoffs. Like, he played really well. I watched every Cavs game intently because I picked him to win the championship. He was really good in the playoffs. He had a bad finals, and that Warriors situation is a bad matchup for him. It's a bad matchup for almost everybody. But he played well in the playoffs, and that's why I thought he would play so well in the finals. But it didn't really work out. And now I don't want to make this a complete basketball podcast because, you know, there's other things I wanted to talk to you about. But I will say
You
this.
mean like our Giants are the best team in baseball?
Well, I got to ask that question in a second. But let me close this out here. So,
I'm sorry. I just got excited because
so you've got Kevin Durant here. The Warriors, by a lot of people's accounts and by Vegas accounts, is maybe the biggest NBA championship favorite at this point in the calendar of all time. I read that somewhere. People saying cancel the season, all that other stuff. I think they're the
They did that
favorites.
last year too. How'd that work out?
Yeah, well, this is true. I think they're the favorites. 2 things. Number 1, KD, you go out, you got a top 5 player, you can go after him, you go after him. Bottom line, point blank period. That's not the wrong decision. However, I felt that wasn't their issue. I felt their issue was to go after somebody inside. And the Warrior fans screamed me down for this, and maybe I was wrong. I thought they should have went after Dwight Howard. I thought Dwight Howard, aside from his passing ability, I don't think he could pass the way Bo can. I thought he'd be perfect for the Warriors. And I thought it'd be a perfect situation for him where there wasn't as much pressure. He can just defend and rebound and finish around the bucket. I thought they should have went after Dwight Howard, but yeah, Warrior fans thought that was crazy. What do you think about the notion, in 2 minutes or less, of maybe getting a little overzealous going after KD and not going after inside, because they're still small inside? I mean, KD's 7 foot, but he's not a powerful 7 foot. You know what I mean? I think they're small inside still. That's the one weakness I may see from them. What you think?
I think you give me rookie year Dwight Howard, who had defensive player of the year talent and didn't care about his touches because all he could do was dunk, then I say absolutely. You give me professional Dwight Howard, who's been a cancer on 3 teams and is about to be a cancer on the Atlanta Hawks.
I don't think you. Wait a minute. I don't think he was a cancer on Houston at all. I think James Harden was a cancer. I think Daryl Morey is a cancer, more of a cancer in Houston.
Team of James Harden could have issues. I think one of the reasons Oklahoma City might have gotten rid of him is because of that too. But those two together, I mean, that was terrible. And then
well, I think Daryl Morey is as much of a cancer. I mean, what the hell? Still, what the hell is he doing? Putting a Ryan Anderson, Eric Gordon combo out? Like, that team is so poorly constructed. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I think you can point the finger. I think you can point the finger at.
One of the most ridiculous things I've seen.
Well, yeah, I think you can point the finger at Harden and Morey before you get to Howard and calling him a cancer there.
But what I will say about Howard is that he has some blame on every situation he's been in. He
Okay.
hamstrung Orlando for 2 years and then finally bounced. He was with the Lakers and almost immediately was like, I'm not getting enough. I'm not getting what I was promised.
Mike D'Antoni has. I think Mike
D'Antoni get a bunch of touches. No, I'm not.
I think Mike D'Antoni has a lot to do with that as well. This is the same guy that benched a Hall of Famer in Paul Gasol for no apparent reason. So I think Mike D'Antoni. I think that was a cancerous situation all around.
So let's do a mirror then of what you. It seems like you have a legitimate reason for each landing spot of why Dwight Howard didn't work, and it was other people's fault too, which is not wrong.
Right.
But think about Alex Smith, right? Number 1 overall pick. His offensive coordinators kept leaving, had no offensive line. Then suddenly he ends up doing well, but they had Kaepernick, so they bounced him again, and now he's going to the playoffs with Kansas City because at the end of the day, he's a pretty good quarterback.
Right.
I would make the case that at the end of the day, Dwight Howard will get you 2010 in his sleep.
Right.
So it's hard not to be excited about a guy who can do that. But
Right.
to me, his loyalty to teams is in question. His attitude with teammates is in question. And his dedication to defense is in question at times at every spot. And if he's the defensive player of the year, that's why Atlanta still gives him $70 million. It's not just, because he's from Atlanta. It's because they still think he can do something. It's the same reason you think that the Warriors would be a good spot. My thing is that when Steph, Clay, Draymond, or whoever takes shots away from him, don't feed him inside. Don't give him touches in one quarter of one playoff game because he just shut it down on the other end. Because he's shown flashes of that at every spot.
And you know what? You're not wrong about that. And Dwight bears some responsibility for all these situations, of course. You're not wrong about that, but I don't think Steph and Clay will do that. That's why I don't think he would be in a situation where they completely neglect him. I mean, even as far as Draymond and the 1-4 pick and roll they make where Draymond's wide open, he attacks, he throws the alley-oop. I mean, he would get about at least 2 of those a quarter. I thought it would be a great fit for him, but it didn't work out. Here's the other thing I wanted to ask you. One last thing on the Warriors. This has become a Warriors podcast. How did this happen? But anyway, one last thing on the Warriors.
You got the wrong guest.
One last thing. Once again, favorites to win. I mean, they're the favorites, hands down. Strength in numbers is gone. And I know you got the David West's and the Zazas that are coming in and all this other stuff. Iggy's still on the bench. I think just like any other team, it's the price that you pay when you have 4 superstars or whatever. I think they're extremely thin, and I think they're going to need to be extremely healthy for this to work out. I think they will be healthy. I think the guys, aside from KD's foot situation and Steph in the playoffs, well, his ankles, but I think that's past them. I think you're dealing with guys that are durable. So I don't think that'll be the case. But is that a concern for you that they aren't as deep as they were? I mean, you still got Livingston, Spates, and Iguodala, and that's good. But I'm not sold on Spates anymore, and Iguodala's another year older. What do you think?
Well, it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna matter in the regular season at all, because you look at when Blake Griffin went down, Chris Paul just took over. When KD would be down with his foot injuries, Westbrook just took over. I think there's too many bad and middle range teams in the regular season for it to matter. And the one thing that you're saying that I think is absolutely true is that what was huge about the strength in number part of it is when Curry was out for 2 weeks in the playoffs, they still won.
Mm-hmm.
And Portland might end up being better, than they were this year. I know you just mentioned Houston there; they could be down.
Yeah, Houston might miss the playoffs. I'm disgusted by Houston. I'm just going to say it. I'm disgusted by them. I hope they miss the playoffs.
I'm shocked. I mean, to me, it shows how bad some of the teams in the West really were this year that Houston even made the playoffs. Or that Memphis even made the playoffs.
If it wasn't for how I feel.
You guys got a hell of a coach in Sacramento. He took a bunch of guys that had no business being on the court and kept them in the playoffs.
Well, look here. Let me make a quick rant real quick. Memphis is wasting the entire NBA's time. I don't want to see Memphis in the playoffs anymore. They're never any better than a 5th seed. They never make it past 5 games in the second round at best, and those days are over. Get Memphis out of here. I want them out of the playoffs. I want Houston out of the playoffs. If it wasn't for George Karl being an asshole, we probably would have took that Houston place last year. I think him just being a jerk accounted for the 8 games that we were back from the 8th spot. So get Houston out of here. Get Memphis out of here. Go ahead. Back to your point.
Hey, I'm with you on that. I'm actually shocked, like I said, that Houston even sniffed the playoffs. It just shows how far teams like Minnesota and New Orleans and other teams really are.
Yeah.
That their young guys still got a lot to grow. But I mean, who knows? We could come in this year, all the people that thought that Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Davis were the truth, well, they'll suddenly show in the Lincoln.
Right.
Because those two guys are amazing. So those two teams right there could be the two teams that replace those guys.
I like what Utah's doing.
Yeah, Utah. I don't think Joe Johnson's going to be what they want him to be, but at least he's willing to take a shot in the last 2 minutes, and so someone to pass to that's not Hayward.
Right.
And when Hayward's by himself, you know where it's going. You don't have to defend anyone else. And I think Favors was hurt a little bit, so that didn't help him either.
Right.
But their last 2 minutes were always bad, and Joe Johnson's the guy that can help them with that. So yeah, Utah could absolutely be one of those teams too. But Sean Livingston steps into the starting lineup, going back to your strength in numbers comment, and it was almost seamless. And they actually got better on defense, because at times, no matter what people want to say about Curry on the defensive end, Sean Livingston's an elite defender by comparison.
Right.
So you put him in the starting lineup, suddenly now you have even a better defense in the first 6-7 minutes of the game, and you keep the other team from scoring 30 in the first quarter. So the strength in numbers is for those kind of things when a guy does go down. But this is a league just like any other. Injuries are changing things, but to transition to the Giants for a second.
Yes, sir. Go ahead and make that transition.
Hunter Pence was healthy all the time, right? Now the last 2 years he's been banged up.
Right.
So you were mentioning how Steph and KD's got some foot things, and everyone else is relatively healthy. Well, you're healthy until you're not.
Right.
You're healthy until you get that first injury. And so if someone goes down, then you have to have someone step up. And so now most Spates isn't going to be able to save them with a 20-point game out of nowhere.
Right.
Sean Livingston is going to be there, but will Barbosa be there for 20 points? No. So some of these guys could just show up with points out of nowhere because they haven't been playing for 2 weeks. That's not going to be there like it was.
Right.
So it's going to be a different version. But the one thing about 4 guys is that with 1 guy down, you still have 3.
Yeah.
Right? With 2 guys down, you still have 2.
Yeah.
And a lot of teams have won with just 2 or 3. So the reason you look at KD is because it helps you with injuries way more than people think.
Right.
Because even if you don't have a good guy, good group on the floor, Durant's won games with 4 nobodies. LeBron's won games with 4 nobodies plenty of times in this league.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you have one of them, you still got a shot.
You're right. You're right, man. And it's basketball season. Basketball's turned into 12 months a year, just like the NFL, man. So, I love it. As we transition.
I'll say one last thing on the Warriors is that this year it's about 4 is greater than 73. Or 16 is greater than 73, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
That 4 finals wins is way more important than however many regular season wins they get.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
If they don't break a single record in the regular season, and they either get 4 or 16, however you want to say it, then that's all that matters.
Yes.
And I hate saying that as a fan. I'm a Giants fan, Warriors fan, so that 2010 run with the Giants, that 2015 run with the Warriors, that's supposed to be all I care about, that one title.
Right.
But if you're just talking about the narrative of the season, all that matters is 16 or 4, if you're talking about just finals wins.
Right. Well, I mean, you're 100% right. And as I transition, just like my boys Murph and Max say, poor Larry Bear. Poor Larry Bear. I mean, these guys got 50-plus wins before the All-Star break, having a great season. And here we go. We only give them 8 minutes here on KC's Corner. Poor Larry Bear. Three World Series, we just give them 8 minutes. But we'll transition real quick. San Francisco Giants. I think they got the second best record in the National League right now. Am I right on that? Second best record?
Best record in baseball.
They have the best record in baseball.
Yeah, they just went on 1 game ahead of the Rangers.
See, that's why I wasn't sure with the Rangers. So let me ask you real quick, and answer this one as quickly as you can, because I want to get to a couple things with the Giants. Are they the best team in baseball right now?
Statistically, yes. I think the Cubs have more depth. I think the Cubs have the bullpen that the Giants need right now. So I think because of our bullpen, I don't know if we can win a 7-game series against the elite teams. But because we have more wins than anybody else, you got to say they're the best right now. But just like we just talked about with the Warriors and the Cavaliers, it doesn't matter until you get to the playoffs anyway. But I think right now they're clearly better than the Dodgers, even though the Dodgers are getting much better.
Yes.
But with Kershaw out for a while, even though he might come back soon, I mean, that's another huge deal as well. So I say the Giants are statistically the best, but let's wait until September to see if that still pans out. That bullpen does need to get shored up.
Let me ask you this. What would it take for us to get Chapman?
So I got a plane flying over me. Say that again?
I was just saying, what would it take for us to get Aroldis Chapman? I don't want it to be a Royal. I'm not giving up a Royal.
First of all, just from a emotional standpoint, it would take us not caring about a guy who has domestic violence thing with him. But from a baseball standpoint, it's going to take 2 or 3 prospects.
I'm not giving up a Royal. Is a Royal in there? If it is, I don't want to give up a Royal.
I think the Giants have pretty much said, without being blunt about it, that a Royal is not an option. That he's just too good to get rid of, and that it doesn't matter if he has a position right now or not. A lot of things can happen. Duffy had a great year last year. I love Matt Duffy, but he wasn't a first-round pick. He's hurt right now. Yeah. He's amazing at third base, but if they end up in 2 years deciding the Royals is a better guy, maybe a Royals playing third base. So I don't think they would send the Royal anywhere. Now, that being said, I think they would send almost anyone else for a closer if they feel like they're a closer away.
Right.
Which is always a scary thing because closers, by their definition, are kind of flash in the pan. They can be amazing, but nobody's Trevor Hoffman, nobody's Mariano Rivera.
Right.
So, even Brad Lidge, when he was like 41 for 41, ended up flaming out epically in the playoffs. So, one closer isn't necessarily going to fix all this. However, if Casilla can pitch the 8th, how much better does the rest of the bullpen look when you're not having to face anyone in the last 9 outs?
Santiago Casilla. You know what? I don't want to speak ill of him. He's been a good Giant. He's given us great moments. But the guy, he just puts too many runners on base. Too much. And it happens almost every outing. He had a 1-2-3 outing the other day, and we were all just like, we're blown away by it. We were like, this we don't see this. This is amazing. You know what I mean? So I do agree with you, though. I think Casilla, I always thought his destiny as a major league player was more of a setup guy than a closer. and he was playing the role of closer. And if we could find a way to move him to an eighth inning guy, or something like that, I think that would be a lot better.
I don't know if I mentioned this to you on your show when I was on before, but I look at Casilla the way I look at Benji Molina. Benji Molina was a damn good catcher for us, and suddenly got asked to be the cleanup hitter.
Right.
And every year he had 20 homers. He drove in more runs than anybody else on the team, but we struggled because he had no business being our cleanup hitter.
Right.
But he did his job. He did his job well. He did it above average, and he was a great catcher.
Right.
Santiago Garcia should never have been our closer, but we lost our closers. Romo struggled. Wilson left. So
B-Weezy.
Team the next best option.
Yeah.
I mean, I love me some B-Weezy, but we have this perception that he invented torture.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Putting guys on. Wilson was the man, right?
No,
there.
you're 100% right with that. You're 100% right with that. Real quick.
But for 7 years, Casillas been strong.
And
that's not the case with closers. I mean, with relief pitchers ever. Relief pitchers are always up and down. Jeremy Affeldt, we all love him. He's a better man he's way better man than he is a pitcher. And he was a great pitcher, and he had some bad years with the Giants.
Yeah.
But he had some amazing years with the Giants.
And some great moments. He has some great moments.
Yeah, Javier Lopez, the ultimate loogie, but he's struggling right now because he gets one hitter a week. And
right.
Sometimes that guy doesn't get out. So, I mean, Casilla has been more consistent than pretty much anybody in the last 7 years. But as a closer, when you make a mistake, the game's over.
Right.
Whereas if you make a mistake in the 7th or the 8th, you got guys that can cover you.
Right.
And so we don't remember, Jeremy Affeldt blowing the lead or, Lopez blowing the lead or Romo when they did it in the 6th, 7th, or 8th. Right. We remember when Casilla does it. Right. So, these 17 blown saves that we have, we didn't lose all 17 of those games, but we lost some of them. And, it always sucks in baseball when you have a lead and you lose it no matter when it is.
I feel you.
And so those blown saves look terrible because what could have been, but we still got 53 wins. So that's the thing that's crazy is that this team is still finding ways to win a ton, even with a struggling bullpen.
I feel you on that. So Will, I'm gonna ask you. We got about 45 seconds. I'm gonna ask you: are they gonna win the World Series this year? That's kind of a tough question because I don't think they can win the World Series with this bullpen. But if let's say they make a deal, not for Chapman, but just for a solid bullpen guy, is that enough to get them their 4th World Championship in 7 years?
Between Bumgarner and Cueto, I'd say this is even year, baby. I mean, how can you go wrong?
Let's go.
I mean, is Johnny? And you're talking about KD, right?
Woo.
Being the best free agent.
Johnny Cueto, 47. What up, baby?
Can we get some Johnny Cueto love on this show?
What up, baby? My bad, Cueto. My bad, Johnny Cueto. That's my guy right there, Johnny Cueto.
I mean, is that artwork on the mound right there?
That's my guy.
Beautiful to watch. I mean, every one of his pitches, every outing. There should be 40,000 people in the stands every time Johnny Cueto pitches at home. That as soon as he gets that third out, takes off their hat and puts it down.
Yes, I love that. The signature Johnny Cueto. Will, hey man, you did a great job as always. You're just gonna be a regular on here, man. We gotta come back and we gotta give Larry Bear more love. You know what I'm saying? Because 8 minutes with the Giants just isn't enough. But hey, man.
Hey, if it wasn't for Larry Bear, we'd be the Tampa Bay Giants. So.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Larry Bear's our guys forever.
Always, man. I appreciate you getting on here, man. You want to throw the Twitter out there at Candlestick Will for anybody who wants to follow. He's a great follow. Very, very knowledgeable on all sports, not just the home teams, but on all sports, man. So I thank you taking the time to hop on here with me, man.
Hey, I love you, Casey, man. I love talking sports with you, man. I love when you put me in my place when I have something wrong, and I love when we go back and forth and have different opinions and still be cool at the end of it. So I appreciate you, man.
It's all love, man. Y'all be good, man. Hey, enjoy the rest of your summer. Love, not hate. Hey, man, and you know what it is. When Birdman tell you, you know what it is. We out of here. Peace.
Are we gonna finish or y'all done? I ain't got no more talk.